Hello, how y'all doing? I'm going to talk about the cheap property update. Now, there still are some, and that's the operative word there, some cheap properties out there, but you have to do your research. Just the other day, it could have been yesterday, I saw a house that cost $5,000. It was an abandoned house. It was cheap. It was cheap. It was a shack, but it had a decent yard. So what do you do when you buy a house like that, where you tear down the shack and you just build your own house there, or put a yurt up there, or tent, or whatever? But there are still some abandoned properties. I urge you to buy abandoned churches. You got to understand the churches have already moved. Okay, they don't want these churches. You can convert a church to a living space. But there are still some tax delinquent property out there. And like I said, if you're in a state like Colorado, for example, and you want to buy a tax delinquent property, get on the internet, find out what county the house is in, find out what county, and they'll tell you the date that they're going to have a sale and how to go about it. Okay. And like I said, when you buy a tax delinquent property, not only do you pay the tax bill, you may have other bills. You got to pay the title transfer and everything. So, you're going to look at $2,000 or $3,000 worth of expenses usually. Okay. But look, I urge you to buy a tax delinquent property. I urge you to buy abandoned properties wherever you are in Ohio. Now, Alabama has a lot of them. Mississippi has a lot of them. And Georgia has a lot of them, except Atlanta. No, Atlanta does not have a lot of them. If you are in Atlanta, Georgia, I urge you to go to the free library. I do not recommend, if you're on the street, to go to social services. I recommend that you go to the free library. Go pick a county that you want to live in Georgia and inquire about the tax delinquent property sale when these are happening. You got nothing but time on your hands. If you can, go to these counties and look at the properties. If the in Alabama, you can buy a property for $45 easily. But look, go look at these properties. Just get an idea of where they are located, because you have a lot of time on your hands, like if you're homeless in Atlanta. But I do urge you to pick a county where you want to move. There is a housing crunch because they have 25 million illegal Central Americans in this country. They are competing for housing. Okay, all these 25 million illegals, they are competing for housing. Now you have 100,000 Afghanistan people. They are competing for housing. 100,000 Ukrainians are coming to the country, and rightly so, because they are in a wartime situation. They are competing for housing. And now the Cubans are going to come here. The Haitians are always coming here, y'all. Whatever. Okay. So all these different countries are coming to America. Now, where they're going to live, I don't know. Who's going to pay their rent? Probably Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is already paying the rent for 25 million Central Americans. Already doing it. Uncle Sam is already paying the mortgage and the rent or the rent for 25 million illegal Central Americans. So Uncle Sam will probably pay the rent for 100,000 Afghanistans. The Ukrainians and the Cubans, okay? But Uncle Sam will not pay the rent for you if you are an American. No way. I don't care what race you are, whether you white, black, or whatever. Uncle Sam, American Indian, Uncle Sam is not going to pay your rent or mortgage, okay? So like I said, there are abandoned properties, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, the Carolinas, but you have to look. You have to choose a county to go to. You got to do your research. Okay, don't just be stuck in Charlotte, North Carolina. Look at the other counties. There's Alamance County in North Carolina. And some of these counties, Burlington, okay, look at all these counties in North Carolina. Some of these counties have abandoned projects. I know Burlington has abandoned projects. I mean, look, HUD doesn't want these projects, so buy them, okay? So the cheap properties are still available. However, they're not making any land. I urge you to buy them at ASAP, because if you're American, particularly if you're a Black American, Uncle Sam ain't going to do nothing for you. Nothing. NOTHINGGG. Uncle Sam ain't going to do nothing for you if you're a Black American. So you better buy this land while it can be bought, because they're not making any more land. Okay? They're not doing it anymore. So buy some land. I'm particularly talking to Black Americans. I'm talking to poor white Americans. Uncle Sam don't care about you either. Never did care about you. Okay? Look, I'm urging you, go for your financial freedom. Okay? I have all my property is tax delinquent. All of it. All the property that I own is tax delinquent. Okay, I bought it at a tax delinquent sale. So I'm urging you to buy some cheap properties. Have a nice day.